Hello, friend. I'm gonna try to make this video short. Yes, I know, but I did manage last time. But yeah, only 3 articles. All right, only 3 articles, and the last one's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna go against what we thought or what we were led to believe. So stay tuned for that. Now, first one: rounds being let off at Jean-Philippe Celestin's house. Yes, of course, that already happened. About 2 years ago, when we were together, there was Gregory, I believe Gregory Woolley had died. And a little bit after that, maybe a few months, I remember Jean-Philippe Celestin, who joined the umbrella of the Hells Angels under the Marauders. I remember he was under attack. First they had unfortunately shot and killed his brother. You know, so it's obvious someone didn't have beef with his brother. It was obvious that they either thought Jean-Philippe Celestin was in that car, and they hit that car, or they actually wanted to hit him where it hurts. But that's the unwritten law of the underworld: is you do not target family members, right? So that's what makes it hard, you know. But we know now we are entering a new era of I say barbarity, savageness, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But Canada is crossing the lines. You know, in Canada, we had the Brothers Keepers. I forgot what his name was. He had beef. Was it with the UN or something? And I know that they tried to kill him first time in a restaurant. There's a video of it. When they have a video from a street light, guys go in and they try to, I can't say the word, try to off him. He's eating supper or dinner with his beautiful son and maybe his girlfriend or wife. And you see the camera captures the hitman from outside the window, from freaking outside the window. Because when there's those type of restaurants where you have tables right next to the window. So the guy from outside sprayed at them. I'm not sure if the son got hit. I think not, but it already hit him before. He almost got offed, and he even showed the pictures online on his Facebook or Instagram or something. And he was like, "Thank you, God, for giving me another chance at life." But then we saw another video together where he himself. I don't know if this is before or after that attempted offing, but we saw a video of the same guy. I showed it to you, where he was going, he was following these two younger guys. Well, they look younger than him. And he was saying something. I couldn't make out what he said. Like, he was calling him goofs and things like that. He was basically bullying them, harassing them. Now, I don't know if it was before or after. So, if it was after, this guy was thanking God for no reason. He was still going for it, He was still chasing the you know what I'm saying? Chasing what you shouldn't be chasing once you survive something like that. But then finally, maybe a couple of months later, or is it a year later? Not sure, been a while. Unfortunately, the hitman ambushed him. They killed him. And the cops say, I don't know how they can figure it out. Probably because there's cameras everywhere, and the setup and everything. They can analyze angles when they look at the camera to know what the hitman saw, what the hitman didn't see. And apparently, they are convinced the hitman also purposely, they had a chance not to, but they purposely shot and killed the boy. So imagine the trauma of that kid. Imagine, man, you're like, what, 6, 7 years old, maybe 12? You're just a baby. And you live in a world where people are trying to kill your dad and they don't care if you're right next to him. That's a miserable reality to live with. And he had to live like that poor boy. And then finally, his worst nightmare happened. They came. Not only they killed his dad, they wanted to kill him too. No kid deserves that. But this is the Canada we're getting to now, And you had the BFM who were kidnapping people and then cutting off parts and filming it like they were in Mexico, So anyways, I tell you all that because I try to bring things together and try to make a synthesis of what's going on and form a story for you, before we just read this article and this happened. Now here, what happened about 2 years ago, We come back to the storyline of the Montreal Gotham. I call it that. The Montreal. I haven't said I used the word Gotham before, but I'm going to call it this from now on. The Montreal Gotham. The Gotham City. They were targeting Jean-Philippe Celestin. The question is, who was it? That's the main question. Who was it and why? Now we do know Jean-Philippe Celestin's crew. They for sure. I think they had. No, I'm pretty certain. If my memory's not too bad, I'm pretty certain they had beef with the one or two of the other street gangs, which would be either Arab Power or what do you call it, Atna Ona's side. They don't like each other with one of those two, or maybe it's even both. Okay, that would be one side of that. Could be one possibility. The other possibility, this one came from me, because I'm lacking information. I am not certain, but based on it's a theory that I personally came up with. This is my own opinion, and I could be completely wrong, But I always found it strange how Gregory Woolley, he was allegedly if you could, I hate to use this word, but I don't know how else to say it. He would have been the godfather of Jean-Philippe Celestin. He would have been like his boss, right? Yeah, I find it strange that now they're saying, the rumors, they're saying Gregory Woolley had a falling out with 81, and that they wanted him dead, and he had to choose a side because the Mafia and the 81s had a beef, and it was serious. So if you believe that train of thought, and that they had something to do with Gregory Woolley's death, but the thing is, we had other reports of Gregory Woolley was in the way of Arab Power, trying to basically tell him, you cannot threaten Tony Accurso. He's under our protection. Leave him alone, and they told him to F off. So that could also be another. But the thing is, if you think that the 81 offed Gregory Woolley, if you think that, then you have to find it strange that Jean-Philippe Celestin joins 81 after that, And I don't think you could just join 81 like this. I think you have, especially if you're black, I think especially you have to prove something. Number one, it's either make money, but maybe that's not enough, Maybe that's not enough. Maybe you need to do them a favor. I could just tell you that the shooter who did Gregory Woolley he was black, So, there's no blacks in 81, except maybe him. Now they just changed, But he was a street gang member or something, the hitman. So, but who could it have came from? Of course, we know Arab Power probably has black members. Don't quote me on this. But I'm just saying, my opinion, just a theory. It can be completely wrong. But Jean-Philippe Celestin joins the Hells Angels. And I see a black hitman finish Gregory Woolley. That's hard. And after that, he joins the Marauders. I'm just very suspicious about this. Okay? So my theory is this, but then I extend it beyond this a little bit. It's just a theory. It could be completely wrong once again, because what do I know? But if you believe that, what was I going to tell you? I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, he lost. My apologies. Give me just a sec. It'll come back probably. But here we have the news. So we continue that story to explain this. Jean-Philippe Celestin's mom was targeted. Yes, there you go. Why so personal? That's it. Why so personal? Now, if you think that theory, my hypothesis was true, that means that would put him at odds against the Mafia. Because for sure they loved Gregory Woolley. We heard reports of Sollecito and all them, they really considered him a family, basically. He was fighting for their interests. So if you do believe that, then it must have been personal when those guys, whoever it was, if you believe it's the 81 side, you would think this was so personal for them, So then I see Jean-Philippe Celestin's brother get killed. And then I see they're shooting here. 2 years ago, we saw that they sprayed his mama house. It's freaking personal, the way they're doing this, Are they not breaking a code a little bit here? Are they not breaking a code? Now you'd have to believe that the mafia breaks this code. You'd have to for this theory to work out, you'd also have to violate the other one, you know? So far, I don't really see them violating the code, really. The only time that I thought they may have violated this honorable code was with the lady of, was it Gallo, who got killed. But as I was telling you, I thought it was a mistake. One of the crafty ones said, it's not a mistake, man. And I tended to believe him, you know. But the reports came out the other day, just recently. I just skipped it because we had enough of that. But they said that it was an accident. The hitman, they thought it was going to be Gallo or something. I don't know. They're saying now it's confirmed, you know. I still don't buy it too much, but maybe like because you see a woman walking into a car, it's obviously not him, right? So I'm still confused about that, but maybe they did not see her walking to the car. Maybe they just, by the time they spotted it, the car was already moving, and they assumed, yeah, that's his car, so it's moving, it's him, you know? Maybe it's that. But anyways, just wanted to tell you that Jean-Philippe Celestin, we saw a couple of years ago, his mother, it was very personal. Someone wanted to hurt his feelings bad. They offed his brother, and then they shot up his mama house. Now they're saying 2 suspects at the origin of that Mama House shooting got heavy sentences. So it was 2 people for Jean-Philippe Celestin. Now the thing is, I have to put a theory that goes against mine. You know, that could completely explain this and makes my theory completely wrong too. You know, remember Jean-Philippe Celestin has beef with another street gang. Remember that. You know, at least maybe 2 of them. He might have beef with Atnaona crew. He definitely have beef with Arab Power now. So, or am I confusing that? I think he still has beef. If I'm confused, that let me know. Because after a while, you read these stories back and forth. There's just too many. You start to lose it. Plus, you get old. All right. So 2 suspects. Who are these suspects? And this might help to explain. You know, if they're 45 years old, I don't think it would be a street gang. If they're 21, 22, I will believe. But it's all to be confirmed. Let's see, man. They're called... Oh, it's 2 people. Here we got names. Schneider Francois, Jan Mudding, got 6 and 5 years and a half for the 16th May 2024. So it wasn't 2 years ago. It was like a year now. Yeah. No, we're 2026, so it's going to be 2 years. Damn, passed fast. Yeah, we don't need to reread the story. I just wanted to see. We just get it. He got a sentence. We don't need to spend more time in this. Just trying to get some. Yeah, more. So that's Jean-Philippe. You know that. That's his brother who got killed. Remember? Okay, yeah, they're not really gonna say anything. So they got sentenced. All right. Next story, guys. Member of the Hells Angels 3 River chapter, Pierre Ayotte, arrested in Saint-Tite. You know, I'm be careful that the algorithm doesn't think I'm speaking about XXX stuff, you know? And here he is, not giving a middle finger, but sort of waving over maybe, I don't know, a car to go through, and maybe they're at a stop sign. I don't know. But with his buddy's bike, and he looks like he's in his 50s. Right? So that's Pierre Ayotte. What happened? Damn, why is my window messed up? Anyways. A member of the Hells Angels 3 River chapter was arrested on Tuesday. He will appear in the courthouse of Shawinigan. Okay. So there was a... Okay, so apparently it was related to an event in 2025 when hundreds of police did a investigation, or they executed a search warrant. What was this about? They're talking about when the Hells Angels converged by hundreds in the bunkhouse of the South chapter of the Hells Angels in Saint-Charles-sur-Richelieu. I believe that's in the south of not in Montreal Island, but in the south, like what I sometimes just give you. Like, just tell yourself South Shore area. I think that's where it is. In for the first run, yeah. So they amassed there for the first run on the 2nd of May 2025. A total 300 members and their numerous supporter clubs arrived for a weekend. Got it, and that was a photo where they got They got them. So what do we got? They saying that on that time, arms and stupefyers were seized. Pierre Ayotte was targeted by this mandate for arrest. He was arrested for possession of illegal fire tools. So I guess they went to his home. Anyways, they didn't give us anything. That's it. It's okay. You just know that he was the person that was arrested. Okay, main story, guys. Let's get to the main story. Whew. Now, you remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a shooting, and it was in the courtyard of RDP prison, and it's like like kids, they have recess, they can go during like maybe first period, they go out, they can have I was gonna say they can have a smoke. Kids can't have that, but adults can. They go in the, I don't even know, did they ban cigs? I'm not even sure, but they go in the court and they do exercise, they get some fresh air. So everyone has to go, so apparently, and then friends hang out together just like in school, but it's prison. And friends converge together, and hey, what do you know? All the leadership, not all, but many of the leadership of the Montreal Mafia, what do you know? They were all swiped up at the same time, and they were all there at the same time, so they all had to take recess at the same time, and they were alleged. What we talked about, the police were theorizing, was an alleged ambush. I was going to say a fake ambush, where a shooter snuck in, but he was so far away. It was like a pot shot. It was I was gonna say the R word. It was a R. It was really dumb. It was really dumb hit. So the way it was, the cop said this was done on purpose. They did it to themselves, and I thought it was a genius move. To be honest, I thought it was a genius move to do this. I was like, damn, these guys are next level criminals. To even plan that, because they wanted to transfer to an easier prison, according to them, where they'll have easier. Maybe it's not easier prison, but I mean for them, they'll be able to direct their affairs better. It's just logistically, for whatever reasons they have. Maybe sneak in stuff. It's easier. I don't know, but they had their reasons, So they planned that. That was all the theory, according to police. That was the only way to explain how stupid that move was. You're not going to kill anyone, and now you're going to alert them that you wanted them dead, and now they're really, and if they know who it is, now they're really going to want to get you badly, and it's like almost over for you now. Now they know you. They need to eliminate you at all costs. You are very dangerous to them, So it was a fake one, perpetrated by themselves, Mischievous, wasn't it? Well. Bombshell news today. An update to that. You're gonna trip, friend. Repeated attacks against the Mafia of Montreal. A contract of $800,000 on a chief of gang. Who's that chief of gang? Yes, he's being held this whole time in a super max prison. Isolated from everybody. How does he do it? Well, the Montreal Mafia just put a $800,000 bounty for the chief of gang. Need I remind you that 6 months ago, the other leader of Arab power was assassinated inside of prison? Need I remind you that? But that guy, the other one, I don't think he was isolated. In fact, he was ordering pizzas on Uber and putting the address as the prison, because he thought it was funny. He was pranking people. So I don't think he could do that if he was in a solitary confinement or something extreme like that. So they got the other guy, whoever it was. Maybe they paid money, and and it was just too good, and his friends killed him. I don't know. But right now, there's an $800,000 bounty on this guy's head. Now, what was I talking to you about the Montreal Mafia thing? Well, the past few weeks, we covered in the news. They covered. I just spoke about it, translating it for you. There was these cafes, Italian cafes, under attack. Do you remember? And we could not explain this. All we could say is, from what they told us, is the street gangs are attacking the Montreal Mafia, right? But we could not explain this, as in why. Why were they doing this? Well, you could just say, well, it's obvious, dude. They're greedy, they want more, and that's it. But I think that's a lazy answer. Today we can have a more a more shocking answer. Look at this. Influential mobsters were targeted by the rounds being let off in the court of prison, in the yard of prison in November. What? Does that mean that it wasn't fake? Does that mean that they were actually almost, well, I say that, I say loosely, they were almost killed. It was not fake. The Arab power tried to get them killed. Well, that's what this article says, and that's the reason for this $800,000 bounty on his head. So look, yeah, shocking, huh? The Montreal Mafia had put a contract of no less than $800,000 on the head of the chief of gang in order to reply to the waves of attacks towards, or the assassination attempt towards the directors in prison, and the repeated attacks on the commerces. It would be for Younes Aithaqui, considered by the police as the head of Arab power, according to our infos, not mine, this newspaper. The person who's nicknamed Frérot, that means brother, that's the nickname, or you could say, if you want, even, it's a little bit more endearing than that. The word is more endearing. If you want, you could say bro. You could say bro. As in bro is like more endearing. It's like more familiar, Well, there's no real perfect equivalent, but you get the point. So the one nicknamed Frérot in the underworld would still be able to continue his criminal activities even if he's purging a sentence, undetermined sentence for murder. That means it could be forever in the establishment of Donnacona. Now I have to remind you, this is where they kept Maurice Montboucher. And then the Hells Angels abandoned him. They let him rot, and the sentiment changed completely on him. They called him a liability. And then they let his enemies join the Hells Angels, and they moved on, and they even made Salvatore Cazzetta one of its leaders, Well, Montboucher was rotting in there. That's where Mr. Younes Aithaqui is rotting in. But he's not letting the silence kill his soul. He still has the spirit. And he still got massive balls. Because he's protected inside of these walls. Ain't that right? But according to our infos, Arab power would be tied to the wave of gunshots that were I shouldn't have used that word, that were directed to important mobsters, one of which is the co-chief of the Sicilians, Leonardo Rizzuto, when it happened in the yard of RDP prison in Montreal on the 22nd of November. And these ones were, they were arrested in Project Alliance. The case related to Frederick Silva's revelations, and they will be they are all incarcerated in. Well, since then they've been moved to somewhere else. I think no, I don't think so. Oh yeah, now they went to Bordeaux. They changed it. Gotcha. So they moved it. Ever since that assault, they changed them to Bordeaux. Apparently, that's another location. $2 million to have peace. Now, because of the attacks on them, they put Arab power leader for bounty on his head for 800,000. And in order to compare, just to let you know, it says the recompense. Usually the reward for a hit would be approximately $100,000. Usually, just to show you the significance of this one, 800,000. The members of his gang would be equally the originators of rounds and criminal fires committed in the weeks. We know that's what I said. They're just repeating themselves. The resto bars and cafes, especially in the last 2-3 months, they've been They upped the ante a lot, remember? I have no choice. YouTube doesn't like simple stuff like that. It was the case of Bar Hendrix on Maurice Duplessis in RDP City, as well as Beaches Pub on L'Angelier, that's in Montreal, in Little Italy. Arab Power, who has also been associated with a wave of extortion in Montreal in the last few years, are wow. Oh my god, that is hilarious. You guys won't believe this. So, are they just, I love when we get answers like this. So, are they just burning the places for fun and laughing about it? Are they just burning places for fun and laughing about it? You could say, well, they're burning it up because it's their enemies. And, well, what's the ultimate goal of just, you're not going to achieve much burning place up. If they're your enemies, you got to kill them. You won't be burning these places up. You'd want to catch them by surprise. So they're saying here that the goal of burning these locations up is because in total the tables have turned. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I should be careful when I say the tables have turned. I don't want to say it on the Mafia. I did not hear this kind of behavior from them necessarily. It was the Hells Angels. So I can't say the tables have turned. But now Arab Power is the one extorting the Mafia. They're demanding $2 million and then they'll stop these assaults. Wow. So on one hand, the Mafia says $2 million is too much. We're willing to dish out $800,000 to have all of this stopped. They fell short of $1.2 million, man. But man, you should just pay the $2 million. What's an extra million for you? And then all of this stops. That's crazy. But you see, I think this is. It's like that's what I've been saying this whole time since this channel started. You could thank the Hells Angels for this. They made it seem normal that you should be able to do this to others. And you see, it's not cool. Just leave everybody alone. You do your thing. He does his own thing. There should be no reason to threaten someone to die if he doesn't want to work for you. But Arab Power is now on that mentality. They realized, well, they're gonna try to extort us, and they'll never leave us alone. You know what? Nah, we're gonna extort everybody. It looks like they're on that mentality now. Who's it? Yeah, and this info. Yeah. This info comes from a police commander. Okay, so this is not a newspaper or speculation here. It comes from Francis Renaud. All right. Now, not that simple. Still, according to our sources, it would be extremely difficult to execute this contract of Younes Aithaqui. He would be enjoying immense respect and protection by the part of other co-detainees in his aisle of the prison. Man. In order to operate with convenience from inside their cells, the 36-year-old and his allies would even be making or putting pressure on the employees of the prison, in order to have access to cell phones and to communicate with outside. This does make sense. Do you remember the phenomenon that's happening in our Quebec prisons now? We have law enforcement, or you call them COs. They're practically begging the government. They're begging them to hire more people. They're breaking, and these prisoners, They are following these employees to their home and basically telling them, I know where you live. I got guys outside. They can see your wife. They can see that. They can do this. So you betcha 100%. If they're doing all this out there in the streets, burning cafes, shooting places, extorting the Montreal Mafia, if they're doing all that, do you not think for a moment that they're not also extorting is not the right word, but I'll use it just for fun. You don't think they're not extorting the COs in there too to do whatever the hell they want? You don't think so? I'm leaning heavily on yes. Very heavily. Until July, Frérot July, Frérot was incarcerated at the sides of Sylvain Cabucci. It's the other guy, the other Arab power got killed, remember? So until this July, they were together inside of prison. He was also, for the other guy, who was also considered a leader of Arab power. Cabucci was, however, savagely assassinated in his cell by detainees. Everything seems to indicate that it was an internal purge inside of the gang. No arrests were made. A couple of months earlier, Cabucci and Tarek Youssef, this guy, were, what do you mean a couple of months early? Because you're saying since July they were together? Am I misreading this? And then he's talking about something that happened 2021. I'm misreading something. Anyways, that part doesn't matter. That's the reason he was still there. Dang it, I wish I had that blocked. That would have been, now my 30-minute video just went down the toilet. That's what I hate about YouTube. Damn. Oh man, that sucks. But there you have it, guys. So big surprise, you know. So wait a sec. I'm gonna believe what they're telling us. It checks out with the logic of the mob. You know, it's like a perfect coincidence. They tried to assassinate the mob, and then following weeks and the weeks before, the cafes were being targeted, and they were all Italian cafes. So the logic, everything would allow this. What we just read, that there's a bounty on his head now because he was the author of that. But there's something that needs to be said then. That means, because where's it? Look, you see this right here, this photo? This is sort of I don't think it's the exact spot, but it's the area. You can sort of see a little bit. Maybe it'll just help jog your memory a little bit. But the hit was not viable. They didn't hit a single one of them. They were not close enough. They were way too far. You know, it's one thing if you have a sniper. You know, that would have been perfect. I'm not saying I wanted that to happen, you know. I'm just saying, like, what would have made this successful? But they didn't have a sniper. I think they went with was it a machine gun or something? But don't quote me on that. You can't quote me on anything. But yeah, it's been a while, brother. You gotta have mercy on me. But the point is, they were far. They were far enough that this was gonna fail. So, man, that was stupid as hell. But I was just gonna say, you know, that was really, really, there's no other way to put this, you know. But I don't know. Are they? Did they really think it was gonna work? Did they really think it was gonna work? If they really thought it was gonna work, well, that's why they did it. You know. I'm shocked. Are people that dumb? Something I'm missing here, you know, because they don't seem dumb by the way they've been approaching things, and they've been doing a lot of stuff. But they're bold. Maybe they're too bold. Maybe that's the answer. They're a little bit too bold. But whoever thought this was gonna work messed up bad, or they have to hire someone with a more more realistic expectations than this. You know, I'd like to say these guys are dumb. You know, it would be the easy answer. But I can't explain this. It's just weird to make such a foolish mistake. But yeah, either way, I guess you could say it won't change much. It won't have much of an impact because they know who was burning the cafes anyway. So they're still going to put a bounty on you. But maybe it wouldn't have been 800K. Maybe it would have been far cheaper. That just boosted it up. Maybe doubled it. But yeah, I guess he's right now. We can, between us, maybe we should remember this. But he, for a street gang member, $800,000 bounty is probably the highest one that I've heard so far. 800K. How much was How much is Albovin's bounty? I can't remember. I know the cops offered 250, right? Was that it? The cops offered 250 for him, but the criminals will pay way more. So the cops are willing to pay 250. Most wanted in Canada, but gangs will go up to 800K right now for someone they really despise, someone who's extorting them. But they fell short of the $2 million value. It's very interesting. The psychology of this. Arab Power thinks you're worth 2 million. Even the mafia is like, no, we're not really worth 2 million. We're willing to save our skin for 800K. Yeah, that's too much. That's as much as we're willing to go. It's the reverse bribe here. This value here. Crazy, man. But yeah, what a surprise. He definitely was, it was him. It was him, but it checks out. So I'm disappointed. To be honest with you, I'm disappointed for two reasons here. One, that plot of doing this to themselves, I thought they were brilliant administrators, of underworld crime. Honestly, I was like, God damn, these guys are like, you gotta give credit to someone willing to stand in the yard and have someone shoot at you, but there's a tiny chance it'll hit you, but it didn't, and you're willing to stage all that so they can transfer you from prison. I thought there was nothing more gangster than that, So I'm a little bit disappointed, They're not those brilliant jokers and what was it? The other guy in Batman, with the question mark. Yeah, they're not these characters, They were not these characters that we thought, But no shame to them. There's no bad in that. But I'm still disappointed to hear that out. Instead, the real reason is these guys came up with this stupid idea that was gonna fail for sure, and that was the real reason. That was it. Surprising, but a little bit disappointing at the same time. Guess we'll end this here. We're at 37. Dang, I thought it was gonna be short, so I failed. But it's shorter than the 60-minute ones. Anyways, thanks to everybody. Let me give a shout out. Brent Fleury, what's up, buddy? Sorry, man, I just saw it. Izo Daniel Silva, what's up, buddy? Evening, Chris Inslee, how you doing, pal? Brent Fleury, oh yeah, we did you already, but giving it to you twice. Gagnon Alain, Sleeping 786, Green Thumb from Ottawa, Mr. J, of course, God bless from America, and and everybody else. Have a great, and the silent one, the silent one who's involved in these stories, who's watching and making sure that I get this right, But I'm just speculating here, Yeah, sometimes I read and the article themselves are speculating too, as we found out. But they were speculating based on what the police were saying, I guess you could say the police were speculating. So we can only go on what's in the newspapers because, friend, I don't have any secret info. I can tell you that my cousin knew this man here who was the leader once upon a time. And I think he said something about his father was something about a mosque, he was giving Quran lessons or something like this, So no, I'm not a Muslim. Don't get it twisted. But that's it. This guy in the neighborhood, he was known in the neighborhood or something like that. When they were a kid, he was a good boy and all that, So man, that's about it. And when he found out, he was like, yeah, because he watches my channel. He said, holy crap, I knew this guy, I know this guy from the neighborhood, But apparently it's a you'd be if you were going back in time, maybe I don't know 20, 25 years ago, you would be shocked to find out who he is right now. You'd be completely shocked. But yeah, but West Island's a small. Well, it's not a small place, but people know each other in the West Island. They hang out in the parks together, all that stuff. And everybody knows everything. Everybody remembers the what do you call it? What's his name, man? I always forget. Was it man? When I wanted to know his name, I forget. When I want to remember, I forget. Yeah, was it Cole? Something Cole? The guy who was he caused mayhem in the West Island. Everybody know him from the Diplomats. The Diplomats guy, the leader. That guy was absolutely nuts. But everybody knows everybody there. When someone shoots like you can't keep a secret over there. So, it goes through the grapevine really quick. But yeah, it's a special place, that area. I used to hang out there every summer. It's its own little world. So yeah, anyways, man, I'll keep this here. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy this type of content, I'm no expert. I don't have any secret info. I don't get invited on television or tell everyone I'm an expert so they can have me on a documentary and then I can speak about something in a language I don't understand. No, man. I live here, and I translate this from French to English so that they can go on TV and they can do this. They can have the glory, and then go chasing the fame and talk to everybody and pretend they're experts. Not me. I'm just here simply translating this for your own benefit. Because before this, no one was doing this. You didn't have this available. It was in French. So I thought, okay, since no one's doing it, let me translate it for my friends here. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you do like it, please hit the like. I'd really appreciate it, man. I'm trying my best. And thank you for being here. God bless you all. Have a great one.